Yo ho ho, the bottle sake! How's it going, my fellow Homo sapiens? It's your boy, the legendary Hadou, and this is a response to stop giving evil characters brown skin. So, giving evil characters brown skin is racist? This and more coming at you next!
Stop giving evil characters brown skin. Street Fighter 2 re-releases today for the Nintendo Switch, and it comes with a couple of characters we haven't seen in almost 15 years. Evil Ryu and Violent Ken. Here's the problem. In the game, Evil Ryu and Violent Ken are just brainwashed versions of Ryu and Ken, yet their evil selves have way darker skin. Was making them brown the only way the game could show that they were villains?
So there's many different things different between Evil Ryu and regular Ryu. For example, Evil Ryu has red hair, red eyes, he has a gaping hole in his chest, a scar on his back, and a totally different moveset. Not just that, he also has a totally different mindset. Where the Ryu we all know and love wouldn't kill his opponent in battle, Evil Ryu will slaughter his opponents in battle and wouldn't even bat an eye. When we talk about Violent Ken, it's the only one I can say that's perhaps brainwashed. He himself is also suffering from battles with the Dark Hadou. So, why do we make characters that are corrupted by evil darker skin? Well, let's find out what darker and black stands for. What's the meaning of these two things? Well, the first thing we can look at is religion. It dates back between hundreds and thousands of years. For example, darkness in both Old Testament and New Testament is an invocative word. If light symbolizes God and everything that is holiness, then darkness is going to symbolize everything that is anti-God, death and destruction. Not just that, let's take a second and look at other cultures and find some meanings of black and darkness. For example, let's look at Japan. Black, or kuro is how you pronounce it in Japan, is a powerful color in Japanese culture. Traditionally, black has represented death, destruction, doom, fear, and also sorrow. Wow, that's pretty interesting. But not just that, let's also look at some definitions of darkness. For example, wickedness or evil, the lack of knowledge or enlightenment. That says a lot about why we make our characters darker when they're corrupted by evil. But not just that, we're gonna go and look at the Dark Hadou. So we're gonna go take a second and go to Street Fighter Wiki and look at what is the Dark Hadou. Because of the Dark Hadou corrupting Evil Ken and Evil Ryu is one of the reasons why their skin turns darker. Even when we look at characters like Akuma, who was corrupted by the Dark Hadou, his skin even turns a shade darker. So let's take a second and look at some definitions and what is the Dark Hadou.
Satsui no Hadou, surge of murderous intent, sometimes translated as the Dark Hadou, is a dark energy-based force that is known for its use by Akuma. Physical and mental changes for the people who do succeed in controlling it. They become extremely powerful, but at the cost of losing their humanity and compassion. They develop a cold, negative outlook on life, a nihilistic detachment from themselves, as well as other people, and develop an obsessive, dark, murderous and even suicidal desire to fight. The user also gains the ability to sense, and potentially influence, the emergence of the Satsui no Hadou in others. Once a user has tapped into the Satsui no Hadou within them, it can be very hard to resist in battle. Within the main series, Gotetsu is the only person known to date that was able to utilize its power without completely giving into its murderous and darkest urges. When under the Satsui no Hadou's influence, a person's eyes will glow white and red and gain sharp fangs. If one embraces it to a lesser degree, their eyes will glow blue. If one balances the Satsui no Hadou and the power of nothingness, they will be in complete control of their power. However, if one has used it to their fullest extent for too long, they cannot be released from its hold and will transform into a demonic entity, likely one similar in appearance and personality to One.
So now, since we have learned a little more about the Dark Hadou, we can understand why these characters have become a little darker shade. They've been corrupted by this evil, this darkness, and a lot of different genres is the reason why a lot of characters turn darker. It's because they're corrupted by something that's evil. When we look at things like fruit that's rotting or death, what do we associate that with? We associate that with darkness or black. So we have a pretty good idea of the reasons why we make our characters a little darker when they're corrupted. But not just that, this same narrative can be used for other things. For example, this same narrative can be used for white characters and white bald-headed characters. We see a lot of enemies or villains that are either white or villains that are either white and bald. For example, we can look at things like Mr. Burns or M. Bison, Lord Voldemort, or just many different characters in the world that's either white or white and bald. Would that not also be considered some form of racist or stereotypes? So the reality of it is that this is not racist at all. This is the reason why we make our characters darker skin when they're corrupted. And not just that, I mean, it's art. This is not something that we should associate with racism. This is just normal art. You're corrupted, you're most likely going to turn darker if you're corrupted by something evil. But I think that most intelligent brown people or African Americans and Black Americans and just Americans period know that this is not racist. Like when we see characters on the screen or we see characters in video games, for example, white bald characters, I don't go out and like, oh my goodness, this guy is going to be some type of villain. He's going to try to take over the world, so I must discriminate against him or I must stay away from these type of people. No, most people know that these things are not racist. And I do feel that this form of oversensitivity really hurts real victims of racism. When you're out there and you're saying, hey, making your characters darker skinned because they're corrupted by evil is racist. When it's not racist, and when something truly does happen to a victim of a black person or a minority or a white person that all experienced racism in America, a lot of people won't take them serious because we have become so oversensitive with things that we don't like or we disagree with. We're pointing at everything and calling it racist when it's not. But those are just my opinions and just my ideas. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Please let me know in the comment box below. But please rate, subscribe, comment, and share. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching. Matane.